Jake had always been a fearless hunter. The allure of the forbidden forest had called to him for years, its dark reputation only serving to stoke the flames of his curiosity. Legend spoke of a cursed game trail, a sinister path through the heart of the forest that had claimed the lives and souls of many who dared tread upon it. But Jake was undeterred. He believed that no forest could hold power over him. Armed with his trusty rifle and a lantern, he ventured deep into the heart of the ominous woods. The night was moonless, and the air grew cold and suffocating as Jake followed the winding path. The once familiar sounds of nocturnal creatures fell silent, and the only companions he had were the flickering shadows cast by his lantern. Suddenly, with a sputter, his light was extinguished, plunging him into an impenetrable darkness. Panic clawed at his throat as he fumbled to relight it. In that darkness, a sinister hush descended, so profound that it seemed to press against his eardrums. Then, like a chilling breath, he heard it, a whisper, soft and malevolent, originating from no discernible source. It was a voice that seemed to speak in an ancient, long-forgotten language, a language that clawed at the recesses of his mind. The trees around him began to sway ominously, and he felt an unsettling presence, as if the very forest itself were alive. Something unseen began to circle him, rustling the leaves and snapping branches. The whispers grew louder and more insistent, creeping into his thoughts, twisting his senses. Jake stumbled forward, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew he had to find a way out of this nightmare. But no matter which direction he turned, he was met with an impenetrable wall of trees, their branches like gnarled fingers reaching out to ensnare him. Then, as if the forest had grown tired of its sinister game, a clearing appeared before him. In the eerie glow of the moonlight, a spectral figure materialized. It was the legendary Forest Guardian, a grotesque creature that was half man and half deer. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its voice echoed with the torment of centuries. "Leave this place, mortal," it hissed, its voice both a warning and a threat. "Or face a fate worse than death itself." Frozen in terror, Jake couldn't move. The Forest Guardian's mirthless laughter filled the air, echoing through the forest like a macabre symphony. It reached into Jake's mind, tearing at his sanity. With a burst of adrenaline, Jake finally broke free from his paralysis and ran. His echoing footsteps were chased by haunting laughter that seemed to emanate from the very trees themselves. Branches reached out to grab at him. Roots seemed to rise from the ground to trip him, but he pressed on, driven by a primal fear that threatened to consume him. Hours later, he stumbled out of the forbidden forest, his body battered and bruised, his mind forever scarred by the night's horrors. He had survived, but he knew he would never truly escape the haunting whispers of the woods. They would forever linger in the depths of his nightmares, a reminder of the malevolent secrets that the forbidden forest held. Mike had heard the chilling tales of the forbidden forest and its cursed secrets. The cabin at the heart of the woods was said to be a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thin, a place where dark forces converged. Despite the warnings, Mike was a skeptic. He believed in science, not superstitions. Armed with his unshakable rationality and an insatiable curiosity, he set out for the forest with a determination to debunk the myths surrounding the cabin. Upon arrival, Mike found the cabin nestled deep within the woods. Its wooden facade bore the scars of time, and the air around it seemed to vibrate with an eerie energy. He pushed open the creaking door and entered the dimly lit interior. The cabin was filled with the remnants of its previous inhabitant, a hermit who had lived there for decades. Dusty books lined the shelves, and strange symbols were etched into the walls. As Mike examined the journals scattered across a rickety table, he realized that they were filled with ramblings and incantations that seemed to belong to an arcane and malevolent world. Ignoring the unease that gnawed at his gut, Mike settled in for the night. He scoffed at the idea of the cabin being cursed, convinced that he would uncover a logical explanation for its sinister reputation. But as the hours ticked by and the clock struck midnight, the cabin seemed to come alive with a malevolent energy. Whispers, like the distant echoes of tortured souls, filled the air. Shadows danced on the walls, taking on grotesque forms that seemed to mock his skepticism. The temperature plummeted, and Mike's breath misted before him as he shivered uncontrollably. Desperate to escape, Mike rushed to the door, but it had sealed shut, as if the very wood had grown sentient and refused to let him leave. Panic surged through him as he pounded on the door, shouting for help that he knew would never come. Then, the cabin's tormentors revealed themselves. Apparitions, ghastly and ethereal, materialized before him. They moaned and wailed in anguish, their eyes devoid of any humanity. They reached out, their ghostly fingers passing through him, chilling his very soul. One spirit, an emaciated figure with hollow eyes, stepped forward. Its voice was a chorus of agony as it whispered, "You should not have come here, intruder. This cabin is a gateway to the underworld, a place where the living are not welcome." The others joined in, their voices blending into a cacophony of despair. Mike's rationality crumbled as he realized that the hermit's curse was real, and he was trapped in a nightmarish realm between the living and the dead. The spirits closed in, their mournful cries filling the cabin, drowning out Mike's terrified screams. They whispered tales of their own tragedies, their lives cut short, their souls forever bound to the cabin's malevolent energy. As the first rays of dawn broke through the cabin's windows, the spirits faded away, leaving Mike trembling and broken. The door swung open, as if releasing him from the clutches of the cursed cabin. He stumbled out into the light, his mind shattered by the horrors he had witnessed. Mike had survived the night, but he knew that he could never escape the haunting memories of the cabin and the tormented souls that dwelled within its cursed walls. The forbidden forest held secrets that defied science and reason, and the cabin was a testament to the darkness that lurked in its depths, waiting to ensnare those who dared to venture too close. Emily had always been a fearless huntress, and the forbidden forest's sinister reputation only served as a challenge she couldn't resist. Rumors spoke of the elusive white stag, a creature so magnificent that it was said to be otherworldly, haunting the depths of the forest. As autumn leaves began to fall, Emily donned her camouflage gear, shouldered her trusty rifle, and ventured into the heart of the ominous woods, determined to bag the legendary beast. Days turned into a relentless quest, and Emily's unwavering determination began to wane. Her supplies dwindled, and exhaustion gnawed at her bones. She was about to give up when, through the thick mist, she saw it, the Phantom Stag. Its fur was as white as freshly fallen snow, and its eyes held an eerie, ethereal glow that seemed to pierce her very soul. Her heart raced as she took aim, her fingers trembling with anticipation. She squeezed the trigger, and the gunshot rang out through the silent forest. But to her horror, the bullet passed through the creature as if it were made of smoke. The Phantom Stag didn't flinch, it didn't bleed. Instead, it turned its spectral gaze upon her, its eyes filled with a strange mix of sorrow and malevolence. Then, with a graceful leap, it vanished into the mist, leaving Emily bewildered and haunted. As the days wore on, Emily couldn't shake the encounter from her mind. She found herself tormented by strange dreams where she was back in the forest, endlessly pursuing the elusive stag. Each night, the dream became more vivid, more sinister. The stag's eyes seemed to call out to her, to beckon her back to the forest, promising her untold power and secrets that no mortal had ever known. Driven by an unexplainable compulsion, Emily returned to the forbidden forest, convinced that she could conquer the phantom that had haunted her. But the forest seemed to have changed, its shadows darker, its trees more twisted. She followed the same path she had taken before, but it led her deeper into the labyrinthine heart of the woods. With every step, the forest closed in around her, and she felt as though she were being watched by countless unseen eyes. The whispers of the trees grew louder, their voices a cacophony of torment and despair. She stumbled upon the clearing where she had first encountered the Phantom Stag, and there it stood once more, its eyes filled with ancient sorrow. Emily raised her rifle, determination in her eyes, but the stag's gaze pierced her soul. It whispered to her, not in words, but in emotions and memories. She saw flashes of her own life, her past mistakes, her regrets, and her deepest fears. It was as though the stag had the power to lay bare her very soul. Tears welled in Emily's eyes as she realized the truth. The Phantom Stag was not a creature to be conquered. It was a reflection of her own inner demons. It was a mirror that forced her to confront her darkest secrets and insecurities. In that moment of realization, the stag disappeared once more, leaving Emily alone in the haunted clearing. She knew she could never return to the forest, for it had become a place of introspection and torment. She had faced her own inner horrors, and they were far more terrifying than any supernatural legend. As she walked away from the forbidden forest, she understood that the true horror of the woods lay not in its legends, but in the depths of the human soul, where the most frightening monsters resided. Thank you for watching. If you have your own eerie stories or suggestions for future videos, let us know by sending us a mail through wisewalk35@gmail.com. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this video as captivating as I did. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so, and leave your comments in the comment section, and let's keep the eerie conversations going. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. Goodbye for now.